Hello. I had a previous post that talked about how to answer or how to be supportive around when you ask someone, "Are you okay?" And their answer is actually no, or it's yes, but. But where I started that post from was actually about a friend who had gone through a relationship breakup, and at a recent family event um, had found that when she spoke about being sad about the breakup, there were some people that said, "Well, you broke up with them, so what's your problem?" And actually, the thought that I had linking to that directly, there were multiple thoughts, but one of them was behind our concept of loss, and how we all have a sense of acceptable versus unacceptable loss, and how it's almost as though we have stages where if a person breaks up with someone and they feel sad, but they were the instigator, they're allowed to feel sad for maybe this long, but the person who was broken up with can be sad longer. But a relationship breakup is nowhere near the length of acceptable sadness as if someone has had a sudden death or an event that was unexpected in the family. And then we have the complex issues around loss of, is it age appropriate? So if a 2-year-old is holding an ice cream and drops it, and their world has ended because they've lost their ice cream, we tend to accept that they have actually lost something significant, and we'll accept their tears and sadness, and perhaps we'll go rushing to give them a new ice cream. But if someone, by the time you're 12, if that happens, we expect people to modify that to not a feeling of loss perhaps, but being disappointed. And by the time we're 25, well, you'd think people should just be able to laugh and go, let's bother, maybe swear, and then move on. But who defines where that change happens, and who defines what things are acceptable versus not? And I wonder whether if we had a little more insight into how we determine what's acceptable versus not acceptable sadness or loss, that we would find it easier to actually move through or support and help others when they are sad or have lost something. I find for myself that I don't ever know how sad someone actually is, and I will tend to check with people, if they're sad, what that sadness is for them. Because despite what I hear, I may not have the perspective that, well, obviously it won't be their perspective. But in doing that, in hearing a little more of what that loss is for someone, whether someone is 2 or 22 or 82, actually it makes me available to support that person for whatever their loss actually is. And the benefit to that is that whether or not I understand, or whether or not I even agree, actually can stay to the side and not interrupt my interaction and my desire to support or care for someone. Later, of course, I can return to what my judgment is if I have one. So if someone says, oh, I lost a pair of shoes and, I'm so annoyed about it, instead of my first response being, shoes, but you've got 20 other pairs, what's the problem? I can actually just check, oh, so you're really sad about these shoes being lost. And they might end up with telling me that it is because these shoes are significant in some way. Or it may be that they're actually not angry about the shoes at all, but they're just so angry at themselves for being so stupid, for leaving them on top of the car before they drove away. So actually, it's a frustration and irritation. It was never about the shoes. But in order to do that, what helps most is that my first response isn't to judge what their experience is. So perhaps that might be relevant to you if you're someone who's exploring support and care of others, and also on a path of discovery for your own emotional health and your own mental health and your relationships and interactions with people. That's a very simple start to the focus of hearing where others are at, supporting and or listening, and still being available for yourself and your own discovery later. Until next time.